Just before Christmas, these three beautiful Polytechnic students followed their boyfriends home for just a small party. Little did they know they'd become a December sacrifice. This is a great lesson for young girls of nowadays. Here's what happened. It was a quiet morning as usual. Mama Mara woke early, her heart heavy like a stone in a river. She knelt on her mat and began to pray. Her voice rose like the morning crow, calling her children to join her. Toba, too, come and pray. Toba, her beautiful daughter who was in her final year in the Polytechnic, knelt by her side. After the prayers, Mama Mara turned to her. Her voice was sharp and firm like a mother's hand protecting her cheeks. Toba, listen to me. Don't follow anybody out today, no matter what, she said, her eyes as wide as the morning sky. But Mama, I don't... Toba began to speak, but Mama Mara cut her off. Don't argue with me, you hear me? Don't follow anybody out today. If they like, let them beg you or promise you heaven and earth. Say no. Mama Mara repeated the warning again and again, her voice rising like a drumbeat in the village square. Toba nodded her head, moving like a lizard on a hot rock. I won't, Mama, she promised, but her mind was already elsewhere. The morning chores were done, and Toba dressed in her neat clothes. She tied her scarf carefully, waved her mother goodbye, and walked out into the bright day. Her steps were quick and light, like a bird hopping to freedom. At school, Toba met her two best friends, Amma and Ada. They stood out like peacocks in a flock of hens, dressed as if they were going to a grand festival. Amma wore a bright dress, while Ada's skirt sparkled like the stars. Toba, you're looking fresh this morning, Amma said, laughing. Yes, fresh like morning dew, Ada added, her smile as wide as the river. The three friends stood together laughing and talking, unaware that the day was about to take a turn darker than the bottom of a clay pot. Have you heard? Amma said, her eyes sparkling like sunlight on water. Classes have been canceled until next year. So my transport fare today was wasted, Toba sighed, shaking her head. Don't mind them, DOA said with a grin. But don't worry, we won't let the day go to waste. Toba's brow furrowed. What do you mean? We're going to a party, Amma announced, her hands clapping together with excitement. A small one, nothing serious. Come with us. Toba. Toba froze, her mother's warning ringing in her ears like the sound of a warning gong. I can't, she said, shaking her head. I need to study. I can't just waste my time. Amma rolled her eyes, and Aja leaned closer, her voice soft and teasing. It's just a small party, Toba. No harm will come. Come on, we'll just dance, eat, and come back. Don't be boring. No, I can't, Toba started, but her friends cut her off. Toba, are you now a grandmother? Live a little, Amma said, laughing. Okay, Toba finally agreed, her voice low like a beaten drum, but only for a little while. Not long after, the sound of loud music filled the air. Danny, DOA's boyfriend, arrived in a shiny car, the music booming like thunder. Raji and Faji, his friends, were with him, their grins wide and confident. Let's go, girls, Danny called out, his voice full of excitement. The girls climbed into the car, their laughter rising like birds into the sky. Toba sat quietly, her heart uneasy, but her friend's joy was infectious. The car sped off, the music loud and the mood high as they headed toward what they thought would be a night of fun. The house was full of life, music blasting like the beating of drums during a festival. Laughter and cheers filled the air as people danced in pairs, their bodies swaying like trees in the wind. Toba, shy at first, soon found herself dancing with Faji, while Amma was paired with Raji and Aja with Danny. The friends laughed and danced, their joy bubbling over like palm wine in a full calabash. After a while, Danny clapped his hands to get everyone's attention. Friends, it's time for a special treat. I have something planned just for us, he said with a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. Excitement rippled through the group as Danny led them outside. The girls, giggling and curious, followed as he drove them to a nearby hotel. The table was already set with plates of steaming food and bottles of drink shining under the soft light. "Eat, my queens," Danny said with a flourish, pulling out chairs for the girls. The girls ate and drank, their laughter echoing through the room like the melody of a happy song. Meanwhile, far away, Mama Mara sat in her market stall, her heart heavy like a sack of stones. Toba ought to have returned by now. She attempted to reach her, but the phone just kept ringing with no response. "Why won't she answer?" Mama Mara mumbled, her palms damp as she redialed. Her soul was uneasy, like the gust before a tempest. Back at the lodging, Toba's phone vibrated on the counter, overlooked amid the clamor and thrill. She didn't notice it. The tunes were too loud, the night too captivating. Yet abruptly, the charm started to diminish. Toba's head felt weighty, as if someone had filled it with sand. Her sight blurred and her limbs trembled. She clutched the table's edge, but the chamber spun quicker and quicker. Amma collapsed first, then Ada. Toba battled to remain conscious, but her vigor faded, and blackness consumed her entirely. When Toba awoke, she was no longer in the inn. The atmosphere was chilly and reeked of moist soil. She glanced around, seeing fractured walls and shattered windows. They were in an incomplete structure, far from anywhere. Her hands and feet were bound with sturdy ropes. She turned her head and saw Amma and Ada beside her, also restrained and unconscious. Panic seized her heart like the talons of a feral creature. Where are we?" she whispered, her tone quivering like foliage in the Harmattan gale. "Wake up," Toba urged softly, prodding them with her elbow. Her voice shook like parched leaves in the Harmattan breeze. The girls roused gradually, their eyes wide with dread as they surveyed their environment. Before them stood Danny, Raji, and Faji, their jovial expressions replaced with icy, unfeeling gazes. Behind them, an elderly man emerged from the shadows, his aura pervading the space like fumes, suffocating and overpowering. He grasped blades of varied forms and dimensions, their edges glinting in the faint light. Next to him sat a gourd, vacant but anticipating. "Do not scream," Danny cautioned, his voice hushed and menacing. Toba and her companions started to weep, the tears streaming like rain as they pleaded for compassion, but the trio remained unmoved. The elder's eyes blazed like flames as he inched closer, the air heavy with the pledge of wickedness. The chamber was hushed, save for the trickling noise of water from the roof. The elder stood tall, his gaze piercing like the edge of a hunter's blade. His voice, profound and odd, resonated in the gloom. "Select a knife," he ordered, extending gleaming weapons. "Anyone declining will be whipped until their skin sheds like yam." Toba and her companions sobbed harder, their cries echoing in the vacant area. "Please, we've done nothing wrong," Amma pleaded, her voice quivering like a scared bird. "Silence," the elder roared, his tone thunderous. He signaled to Danny and his allies, who advanced with cords in hand. The girls shrieked and resisted, but the binds restrained them firmly. The elder retrieved a small dark vial brimming with a murky, foul-smelling fluid. He emptied it into a wooden mug and offered it to Ada's lips. "Drink," he commanded, his voice tranquil yet frosty. Ada shook her head, her lips trembling. "No, please," she implored. But Danny seized her head, compelling the liquid down her throat. She gulped, her frame shaking as tears coursed down her cheeks. Instants later, Ada's figure stiffened, her eyes wide with terror. She crumpled to the floor, lifeless. The elder moved forward, elevating a sharp blade. With one swift move, he severed her head. Blood cascaded into the gourd like a stream, and Danny and his cohorts chanted peculiar phrases, their voices merging with the elders. Toba shrieked, her wails slicing the air like a shattered flute. "No, no," she yelled, her form writhing in. The cords. Next, the elder stated, shifting his gaze to Toba. They compelled the wooden mug to her lips, but Toba resisted with all her might. The acrid fluid scorched her throat, yet as it hit her belly, she expelled it repeatedly. Each time they forced her to drink, her physique rejected the toxin. She is resilient, the elder grumbled, his forehead creasing. He faced Amma, who lacked the strength to combat. She consumed the concoction with shaky hands, her structure collapsing shortly after. The elder promptly hoisted his blade, decapitating her. Blood replenished the gourd once more, the crimson liquid mirroring the wavering glow of a flame. Toba's spirit crumbled like a shattered vessel, her tears streaming ceaselessly as she witnessed her friends perish. "Why did I venture here?" she murmured to herself, her voice thick with remorse. "Compel her again," the elder ordered. Danny and Faji restrained Toba, pouring more of the substance into her mouth. Yet, regardless of the quantity they administered, she regurgitated it all, her frame refusing to yield. The elder eventually retreated, his expression stern like a boulder. "She cannot be slain," he proclaimed. His voice heavy with anger. "She will be made useless instead. Let her live as a shell of herself." Toba's body was weak from the beating, her tears mixing with the dirt on her face. She sat in the darkness, her soul crushed as the old man prepared for the next stage of his ritual. The market was bustling with life, but Mama Mara couldn't shake the unease in her chest. Her hands trembled as she arranged yams on her wooden table. She wiped the sweat from her forehead and picked up her phone. Again. "Toba, pick up," she whispered, dialing her daughter's number for the 10th time. The phone didn't ring. It was switched off. Mama Mara's heart raced, beating like a drum in her chest. Her mind swelled with thoughts darker than a stormy night. "God, please protect my child," she prayed under her breath, her lips moving quickly. She looked around, but the market's noise drowned her thoughts. Far away, Danny and his friends followed the old man's final instructions. Toba, barely alive, was dumped out of the car to the roadside opposite the market. Her clothes were torn, her body bruised, and her skin smeared with blood. She lay motionless like a rag doll discarded in the dirt as the car drove off at a very high speed. A market woman was the first to see her. She screamed, dropping the basket of tomatoes she was carrying. "Ah! Somebody come and see! They just dumped her!" People rushed to the scene, their voices rising like a swarm of bees. "Who is she? What happened to her?" they shouted, their faces filled with fear. Mama Mara's stall was close to the roadside. She heard the commotion and ran toward the crowd, her feet moving faster than they ever had before. When she saw the girl lying there, her knees buckled, and she let out a wail that pierced the heavens. "Toba, my child." Toba opened her eyes weakly, her voice faint like a whisper carried away by the wind. "Mama," she managed to say before collapsing into Mama Mara's arms. Mama Mara's tears flowed freely as she cradled her daughter. Her once bright Toba was now a shadow of herself, her body battered and her spirit broken. Without wasting a moment, Mama Mara lifted her daughter, her strength fueled by desperation. "Make way," she shouted, pushing through the crowd. She carried Toba straight to the prophet's house, her mind racing with prayers. "God, don't let my child die. Please don't let this be the end," she whispered, her voice trembling. As she approached the prophet's door. The prophet, a man with a long beard and eyes that seemed to see beyond the physical, opened the door before she could knock. "Bring her in," he said softly, his tone calm but serious. Mama Mara laid Toba on the mat, her hands shaking as she explained what had happened. The prophet nodded, his eyes scanning the fragile girl before him. "This is not an ordinary battle," he said, his voice heavy. "But with prayer, she will live." Mama Mara knelt beside her daughter, her hands clasped tightly. "Do whatever you can, prophet. Save my child." Her voice broke with emotion as tears streamed down her face. Outside, the crowd murmured, their whispers spreading the story of the bloodied girl found by the road. The market, which was once alive with laughter and trade, was now hushed with fear. Meanwhile, something even more terrible had happened somewhere else. After dumping Toba, the car roared down the dust road, music blaring as Danny and his friends laughed like hyenas after a feast. "This December will be the best ever," Danny shouted, gripping the steering wheel with pride. Raji leaned back. In the seat, a grin plastered on his face. "We'll have everything we've ever dreamed of. Riches, power, everything," Faji added, nodding as he sipped from a bottle. But their celebration didn't last long. Just 3 minutes from the market, the car sped around a bend, and out of nowhere, a massive truck loomed in front of them like a wall of doom. The crash was sudden and brutal, like thunder striking the earth. The car crumpled like paper, its music silenced forever. Raji died on the spot, his body lifeless in the wreckage. Danny screamed in pain as blood poured from his legs, now crushed beyond saving. One of his eyes was gone, leaving his face disfigured. Faji groaned, his arms severed, hanging limply as he cried out in agony. News of the accident spread through the town like wildfire. Whispers turned to shouts as people connected the dots. "It's them," someone said. "The boys who dumped that girl at the market. Their evil deeds have caught up with them," another muttered, shaking his head. Back at the prophet's house, Toba lay on a mat, her breathing steady but weak. Mama Mara sat beside her, watching as the prophet prayed and placed herbs on her wounds. Slowly, Toba's eyes opened, and she began to speak in a broken voice. "Like a bird with a wounded wing, they killed them," she whispered, tears rolling down her cheeks. "Amma and Ada, they cut off their heads. I should have listened to you, Mama." Mama Mara's heart broke as she listened to her daughter's harrowing tale. The prophet placed a hand on Toba's forehead and spoke softly. "Her recovery will be slow, but she will live. The scars of the soul may never fade, but she is strong." The town buzzed with the story of the crash and Toba's survival. People spoke of divine justice, of how evil can never escape punishment. The police came quickly, dragging Danny and Faji out of the wrecked car, broken and battered. They were taken to the hospital before being thrown into prison. Their dreams of wealth had turned to ashes. Danny sat in his cell, his legs gone and his single eye staring at the wall. Faji clutched the stump where his arm used to be, his head bowed in regret. "Why did we do it?" Danny muttered. "We should have stayed poor." The once proud boys now faced a life of misery, having destroyed everything. At the prophet's house, Toba recovered slowly. She could no longer walk without help, and her voice was faint, like a shadow of its former self. The prophet told Mama Mara, "Your daughter will live, but she will carry these scars for the rest of her life. Let her story be a lesson." Mama Mara wept, holding her daughter close. "At least you are alive," she whispered. The town learned from Toba's tragedy. Parents warned their children to listen and avoid temptations. Young girls vowed to be more cautious, their laughter now tinged with the memory of Toba's tale. The December that began with joy ended in sorrow. Amma and Ada were gone, Danny and Faji were ruined, and Toba would never be the same. Her story became a warning that echoed through the town. Be careful who you follow home. I hope you found the story enjoyable. If you did, be sure to hit the like button, share your thoughts on the lesson from this tale, and remember to subscribe to the Key channel for more captivating stories like this. Thank you.